Great. So yeah, the next step that we're going to kind of do here is actually to have like the mentors. We're going to walk through the first issue, just to kind of give you all a feel of the process of going from issue to like reading the issue, understanding it, pair programming, creating a PR, doing a code review, and then getting that all merged up. So again, this is like kind of the first time we've done this, so like we'll see what happens, but I think we're feeling like it'll be at least informative. um, so yeah, I think maybe I'll share my screen for a quick second. I can show you all the project board that I think will be good to like get a feel for using. So one moment. Belinda, do you want to turn on screen sharing?
Yes. There you go. That should work now.
Thank you. Looks good. Just do ARC for now. Okay. Does everyone see this? Okay.
Yep.
Of course, the Zoom tools are like in the way of what I'm trying to click on. Okay, so yeah, so this is the repo. I assume everyone has seen this at this point. But if you see the project tab here, you can click on it. And at the bottom, there's this TCL-73 smart shopping list. And this is like your project board, so to speak. And so every week we'll be basically bringing a couple issues across this, and you can see in progress, peer review, mentor review, and then once we're done, we can drag it into the done column. But so I'm going to start off by just dragging issue 1 into in progress, and then I'm going to hand it off to Christina and Belinda, and they can take us away.
Yeah. So just a little bit of backstory to this. Initially in the Collab lab, we used to have modules where you would learn to pair program and where you would learn about like the Git commands that you're going to use for pairing and all of that. But because of the way that the program was laid out, we were like sprinkling them in. So you might be learning about pairing a little bit further down and you'd already been pairing a bit. So the idea is that we're still keeping the modules, but you're doing them asynchronously. So you'll see those modules each week on your project board. And then this is going to be a quick demonstration of kind of what the workflow is and what pair programming will be like for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just a minute. Here. Let me share the whole desktop so that just in case. One moment. Already got my flag open. Okay. So Belinda and I have been assigned to this ticket. You guys will be assigned to a ticket every week, a pair. And so I'm going to go ahead and read the ticket. It's really important that you guys read the ticket before you get started. So just so that you understand what you're getting into. So I'll go ahead and read it. Being able to sign in is a foundational part of our app. Not only will it allow us to connect users to the shopping list that they have access to, it will prevent users from being cluttered with others' data and keep their own data from being messed with. This provides layers of personalization and security to the app. Auth is already set up in Firebase, but there is no way for users to sign in to the actual site. We already have a use auth hook, and we just need to use it, or we just need to set it up so that we have a solid foundation for the rest of the issues. So our acceptance criteria, which is going to be what it is that you need to complete each ticket, will be like this. If you ever see any check mark on these, it means that those parts have already been completed and you just need to work on the ones that are not completed. So today we have to complete all the acceptance criteria. Our first one, which Belinda is going to pair first, and then I'll pair second, or I'll program second, is we are going to use the use auth hook as well, and we're going to get the sign in and sign out button components, and we're going to import them into layout.jsx. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. And then the sign in button is going to be displayed on every page if the user is not signed in, and the sign out button is displayed on every page if the user is signed in. So I'm going to go ahead and let Belinda share her screen, as she'll be the first one that will be coding, and I'm going to be playing that secondary role right there.
thoughts.
All right.
And while,
Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
I was just gonna say while Belinda's bringing that up, I just wanted to like make a quick note, just like about the repo and the code base in general. That this is, I feel like, a pretty good example of like what coming into like a new organization is like, right? Like there's kind of this pre-existing code base, there's kind of a code style. And so yeah, I hope you all are like can take the time to like read through all of the different files there, because there's some pretty interesting code in there. It's obviously not like super complicated, but yeah, there's like a little bit of nuance in some of the hooks and the APIs and stuff like that. So definitely be good to yeah, just kind of get familiar with that. And sorry, Belinda, go for it.
No, that's great. Thank you for that. Here's my, before we get started, my moment of vulnerability is it's been a really long time since I've touched code regularly. So while I'm really excited for this, also like a little nervous. So I really appreciate the support of my fellow mentors and y'all being kind as we go through this. So thank you. And I'm ready to get started.
All right, so this is kind of how the dynamics works, is one of you will code and the other one will kind of give like verbal guidance. So let's start by getting acquainted with what we have. We'll click on the API folder, and from the API folder, let's take a look at the config file. From there, this is where all of our Firebase stuff is set up. So we're going to be pulling over the piece of auth. And then let's click on the use auth JSX file. And here we have our sign in button and the sign out button, and they are already exported. So we just need to import them to the layout JSX file according to the criteria. Can you click on views?
Open layout.
Perfect. Yeah. And we have to create a branch before we get started. The naming convention for our branch is going to be first initial of the first person, second initial, and then a short word to describe it. So let's do your initials, mine, and Paul's. What do you think?
I like it. Good.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, so we need to go ahead and import the sign in and sign out button, as well as use auth.
All right.
And then we also need to import auth from that config file.
I think it was
It's already
pre-done
there.
for
Perfect.
us. Magic.
Awesome. Magic. That's okay. And then we also need to import, since we're going to be doing that dynamic rendering, the user piece of data. So if we can, before the return in this function, yeah, let's create a variable for it. So const, and then the destructured user for that use auth book.
Oops. Forget how to type when people are watching.
I know. All right, let's go ahead and commit that, and then we'll switch over.
And if anyone has any questions as we're going, feel free to shoot them out.
Yeah. We're doing git add and then git commit with a simple message. Maybe we do import sign in and sign out and use auth.
Great.
That could have been shorter, probably.
I like it. It's specific. All right.
Okay, and we are going to do a git push. We're probably going to have to set up the upstream. I can't say it right now. The upstream.
That's just this.
Yes, you push you.
Perfect. Origin.
Origin, and
yes.
then our branch. Yeah.
CW. Oh. Great. I believe it is done.
Perfect. All right, let me go ahead and can you stop screen sharing so I can? Yep. Oh, did you want to start the push the PR from there, or do you want me to create it when we're done? The draft.
Oh, that's right.
We'll just create it when we're done. It's
yeah.
okay. We can create it when we're done, or we can do it now, however you want.
Yeah, let's do it when we're done.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let me go ahead and share. my
I have a
screen.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the -U? Is that upstream you mentioned?
Yeah,
What
it's the
is
short, it's the short flag for upstream. So basically it sets your, where your origin points to. So like, so the first time you do git push -u origin branch name. And then if you do that -u, which is a shorthand for -- upstream, the next time you push, it already knows like what your default upstream is. And so you can just do git push instead, and you don't have to specify anything else. Does that make sense? So like, because otherwise like git push and git pull, like technically, you know, if you don't have an upstream set, you have to specifically say what your remote branch is, which is origin. But this kind of just like sets it default for that specific branch. I don't know if that was a good explanation, but does that make sense?
Yeah,
Cool.
and then can you reset it by typing the same thing?
You know, that's a good question. I don't actually know off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Probably. Yeah.
All right, so I went ahead and did a pull, and I'm going to switch into the branch. So I can do git switch, and then a cb cw off. Awesome. So I can see your changes. Belinda, do you want to remind me what it is that we have to do here for the to meet the acceptance criteria?
Yep. So the remaining work is that the sign in button is displayed on every page if the user is not signed in, and the sign out button is displayed on every page if the user is signed in.
How do you want to go about it? Should we write a ternary?
Yeah, like that.
All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and check for the user. If the user is there, we're going to go ahead and show a div, maybe, with the sign in button, sign out button. Oops, sorry, I meant to just put a little slash there. And this is again, I'm pretty nervous about coding in front of people too. I don't usually
We're in this
have to do
together.
it as a mentor. So yeah, we're in this together. Exactly. All right. And then else, if it's not there, we are going to, oops, hold on. I think I wanted my, let me get rid of this stuff here. Hold on, apologize for the noisy background. Not really. Oops. Sign in button. Oh, I'm missing something. Oh, the question mark. If right here. All right. Does that look right to you?
Yeah, I think so. Want to run it?
Test it out. Awesome. So our little sign in button is appearing.
If it can work.
And I can authenticate. Awesome. And then I can sign up now. So that's perfect.
Nicely
Awesome.
done.
Awesome. Let's go back over.
And I just want to note for the Collab. So we have the Google like OAuth provider set up already in this. So once I think like maybe even after this, everyone like can pull this code in and like run it and then click the sign in button, and you'll all be basically like put into the database and authenticated for the app moving forward.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and commit these and get add. My laptop's giving me funny permissions. I apologize, but usually just get add would work. Hold on. Fatal. Why does it keep switching me out? I'm so sorry. Hold on. TCL-73. This should not happen with any of you, so don't worry. It keeps switching me out of the directory for some reason. So git commit. render sign in and sign out conditionally. Does that sound good for you, Belinda?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. And push.
I think maybe it's too late, but I think it said singing in.
You think what?
I think maybe it said. Oh no,
Oh, did I
no, I think it's good. I think it's.
I fixed the typo. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got that. All right, get push. Okay. All right. So once you go ahead and do a push, you should be able to do the push. Not seeing it. Okay, here we go. So you should be able to click, compare, and pull request. So to create that pull request, you're going to do that every week at the end of the issue, and you can add a title to it. So I guess, I don't know, what do you want the title for this one to be? Belinda, set up off, maybe?
Should we name it like issue 1 setup off?
Issue 1, okay. That off. Perfect. And then this is the template that the Collab Lab provides. So you'll see this all the time. You can kind of get rid of this top little portion here. And then the description right here, what we were going to do. We imported the sign in. Sign out. And use off into layout. And then we rendered the sign and oops, there I go with sing again. Then conditionally. Okay, so you can be a little bit more descriptive in it if you want to. Here, I believe if we write closes, hashtag,
Just put a space.
is it a space?
Well, space after closes. Yeah.
After closes. Okay, so hashtag 1. There we go. So closes space and then hashtag, it'll pull the drop down and you just select the issue that it relates to. This one's number 1. And then we can copy our acceptance criteria over. Let me get this down. I apologize for the background noise. Sorry.
It's not too bad.
Let me get this first issue here.
My cat's currently body slamming my door because I shut her out for this meeting. So I don't know if y'all can hear that.
I love it. All right, so if you click on edit, it's really easy to just copy it over with the same formatting. So that's what I'm doing for the acceptance criteria. And then you can just put a little X in there because we imported the sign in and sign out button, and then we rendered these two conditionally. Type of changes. Would you guys consider this kind of like a new
I would
feature?
call it a new feature, yeah.
New feature. Oops. All right, and then the updates. This is like a screenshot where you'll put, well, actually this before and after the little screenshot. Here's just a little kind of more in-depth description. So you can do a list, import, sign in. I just want to sing today, apparently. Let's do here. And I'm just kind of going through this feeling a bit. If you have anything you want to add to this one, it's, you know. We also structured the user and checked. Let's see if it's The buttons conditionally.
I love it.
All right, there we go. And then something that I find kind of, because it's always really easy. I always forget to take the screenshot before we get started. So I'm going to take the after screenshot first. Second, of course, Zoom is also in the way of my, well, that's okay. Since it's just a demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and take the screenshot now and put it here. And after, and then to get the before screenshot, I'm just going to switch back to the other branch. So main. And now we should be, yep. So now we can't see that original sign in, sign out button.
That's a neat trick.
Yeah. I think everyone has a different way of doing it. I don't know. But this is just something that seems to work easy. Okay. And then you want to add some little acceptance criteria notes. So this one's really easy. It's just the steps that you're going to have the mentors or because each week you're going to complete an issue with a Collab, and then the other pair is going to go ahead and they're going to review your code. So you want to leave some instructions for them to review your code. So for example, something that we need to do here is what, Belinda, what do you think we need to have them do in order to review our code in order to test it out?
So when doing testing steps, do we list how to run the project, or do we assume that folks know how to run it?
I don't know, Tim's shaking his head. Maybe he does it slightly differently. Go ahead.
I would list how to run it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just like basics. Yeah. Assume nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
So we would want to start with run npm start.
Mhm.
That sound right?
Even npm CI first, just because there's a possibility that you actually added new dependencies. So
Yeah.
I would do a install first.
Makes sense.
Why the CI, Tim? I usually just do npmi. I'm just curious. Is that just to clear all the flags?
So the CI, honestly, it's just, this is the recommendation that the Collab lab gives for the repo.
Okay.
Every project's different, and I would just, when you look at the README file for our repo, npm CI is what they recommend doing. And so literally I just do it because that's what they expect of you. It's like in my work, I use Yarn. So it's like a totally different thing entirely. So it's just basically like, this is what the organization uses, I think, is my explanation.
So, and actually maybe we need to put in here a little bit, we have to back up a few steps because they have to actually pull things down. So we could do like git switch and then the name of the branch. So it would be like bb-cw off, correct? Does that look good to you guys? Yeah. And then we have actually get pull first, sorry. Okay. I don't know why I'm adding backticks there. That's okay. I like the backticks. They're so cool, but okay. Yes, exactly. Click on the sign in button and authenticate using Google. And click on the sign. Look at this. I really do want to sing today. Sign out button.
Karaoke tonight for you.
I know. Awesome. Okay. Does that look good? Anything else we need to add here?
I don't think so.
All right. We can delete this. This is part of the template. We're going to go ahead and create the pull request. So after you've created the pull request, you're going to add some reviewers. So you'll click here. And today, Tim is going to be reviewing our code. In your case, you're going to go ahead and add the other pair as well as the mentor that will be reviewing your code for the week, which that will change every week. All right, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, Tim.
All right. All right, yeah, so let's go through, let me share my screen and we can kind of go through this process.
Do we want to tell them the workflow, like the timeline for that too, while you're getting set up?
Yeah, if you want to share that while I'm doing that.
Okay.
Great.
So you'll want to kind of try to front load your week and get as much done as possible. So try to get your pairing done on as early as possible in the week so that you can ideally have your PRs created and then posted in Slack so that everyone knows that the PR has been created, ideally by Wednesday. And then the other pair will have like a day to review it. Once they're done reviewing it, they'll post on Slack that it's ready for the mentor. Again, you'll know which mentor it is based on, you know, who we tell you each week. And then they'll ideally review it, you know, before our weekly sync and make any changes. I think the idea is that they review it by Friday, right, Tim? That the mentors review by Friday, so you have time for the demo to prepare for demos.
Yeah, I would say
changes?
considering our sync is like Saturday, like early Saturday, maybe even by Thursday. Like I think we maybe want to push it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
by Thursday, so that Friday, like yeah, you can make sure you're prepared for demos and stuff. That'd be my thought at least.
Yeah, allows you to make any changes that the mentor might suggest or something like that. So
cool. Thanks, Christina. All right, so yeah, doing a code review. Back at the repo, you can click on the pull requests tab and you'll see the PRs that were created. And you can see that I was requested for review on this pull request. And so I would obviously read through this, check everything, see what the steps are. And then to actually like start a review, generally what I do is I go to the files change tab. And again, like Zoom is just blocking everything, but it's fine. And yeah, you'll see, I mean, this is obviously a super simple change, but you can go into kind of review changes here and you'll see there's kind of comment, approval, and request changes. So what I would do first is I would actually go over my code and kind of run the, you know, the steps that were recommended. So I'll do a git pull here and you can see new branch here is set up. And so I will check it out.
I have a quick question.
Yep.
You know, we're pair programming on like the issue together. Do we assign one of the other team members to review it? Just one,
You can
or both of them?
you can assign both of them, and then I think, you know, on some level they'll kind of like do it together in a sense, but maybe that
Yeah.
means that like, oh, you want to look at it first and I'll look at it second, and you can like, you don't have to do it synchronously, you know, you can kind of like be
Okay.
talking to each other on Slack and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
But I think you'll both end up giving approval. So the idea is that like once the PR gets approval by both other collabs, that's when it becomes like the mentor approval is after that.
Okay, so you assign both of the other pair programs to review, and then like you would both go on, like you don't have to do it like together, but you'd be talking about like
No,
what you're
actually you
doing.
should, yeah, you can both review it separately. Like you both review it by yourself, basically.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
yep.
thanks.
Cool. So yeah, check out that branch. I'm just gonna git pull again, just because I'm overly careful sometimes. But so already up to date. And so I can now, let me make sure that I've got everything installed, and I don't, so that's good. And then we can start. Great. Let's see if this works. It does. Sign out is here. And that works too. Great. So that all functionality wise, that is working perfectly. And so I'll now come over here and like look at the code specifically. And so the way this tab works is you can actually add like inline comments if you're like, oh, this one line, like I would do something different here or something like that. And I might, I mean, looking at this, this code is simple. I think it looks perfect. I have really nothing to say about it. I guess the one thing I would say, and this obviously wasn't even something that they did, but I'm like a little surprised that like we're importing something here that's not being used. So I might just question that, be like, not a problem, but is there a reason we are importing this? And I'll start a review with that. And again, this is not a breaking change. Like I'm still going to approve this, but it's just a question that I have. And the PRs are a great place to kind of have conversations about the code, especially once you're both pairing, one group's pairing. And so like the other group's kind of coming into your code being like, oh, what's happening here? And I think this is the best place for this kind of conversation, so that it's both documented, and like everyone can see it, including us, because we're technically like the senior devs, so it's like we're kind of the project owners, and so we want to know kind of what the thought process is going into different pieces of the code. So like if you have questions, there's a good chance that like we have those same questions. So by doing it in this way, like this is just going to show up on the PR, and we can look back at it later, and maybe Christina or Belinda will respond, be like, oh, it was already there, like we're not sure. But then maybe down the road we can either, because of this conversation, like the next group might get rid of this import because it's not necessary, or they'll actually use it, right? Like those are kind of that's kind of the thought process that I have around this. But my approval will be functionality tested, works perfectly as expected, code looks great, and you can add some fun things, and then I would approve this. And so you'll see here, like, I approved it. And again, like you should approve things if the function, if it passes the AC, if the functionality is working the way it's supposed to, like, even if you have like, oh, I would do this differently, like you should still probably approve it, right? Because it's like, you're talking about like stylistic changes on some level, and even like technical changes, like if they aren't like, if it's just like, I think this might work better this way, like I think those are things that you can still approve the code and say those things in the code review. And then, once this approval happens, like the other group can still make changes to their code, right? So it's like you can, take whatever things I have here and go back and like, hey, maybe I'll remove this import and push it up. And the approval still stands. I mean, there is a world in which like if you make a big change, maybe you're like, oh, hey, I made a big change. Do you want to look at it one more time? I know you approved it already, but maybe you want to look at it one more time. Again, this is like, I feel like it's really good to think about these PRs as like a dialogue. It's a conversation. Like we're all trying to like figure out what's going on together. Cause like you'll find like when you're working in the real world, like even like senior devs, like they don't always have a full picture of what's happening. Changes happen. There's like, especially in complex code bases, like you just need to be talking about stuff a lot. And so, yeah, since I've given the approval, at this point, it would actually revert back to Christina and Belinda, and they would come in here and merge the pull request. So do you want me to stop sharing, and do you want to do that, or should I just merge from here? Do you care?
Let Belinda push the big green button.
You want to push it? Yeah, I'll let you push the big.
Sure.
You should do it. So I'll stop sharing for a second.
I do want to piggyback what Tim was saying is most of the time definitely approve it. We had one instance in my Collab lab experience where the change was causing like an infinite loop. And so if that's the type of change where it's like an infinite loop that it like makes because we have a limit on our databases, so if it's like something like that where you notice it's going to actually cause a problem, then definitely mention that, and at that point you can ask for changes before approving it. But that's an edge case scenario. I don't know. Yeah. I think Andrew gave a statistic at one point though. I'm like, how often that happens, I'm not sure, but it happens every once in a while.
Yeah, I feel like at least once every cohort somebody throws an infinite loop on the database. It just happens. It's like with React is weird, and use effects, and like if you're not careful, yeah, it's really easy to do that. So not the end of the world. It'll just like we'll get frozen out of our database for 24 hours or whatever, but it happens. Luckily, we're free tier, so we're not going to get like saddled with a $4,000 bill or anything. So you don't have to worry too much.
Oh, all right. Just pushing the big green button. Anything else we want to do first? All right. Great.
And then, yeah,
And then
I
we
usually
delete?
I prefer to delete the branch personally.
Clean up
Keep it
after
clean.
yourself.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet. Cool. So I'm going to share my screen again now that we've done this, and I'm going to kind of show you guys Firestore and kind of what's going on there. Again, Zoom is just all up in my grill. Okay. So let's see if this worked the way it's supposed to. Technically, they should be users. Yes. All right, good. Good news. Good news, everyone. Let me look at the issue. So there's some notes in this issue that that I'm going to look at real quick. So I'm actually going to, oops, can I do split view here? Oh boy. Oh gosh, that's not the answer. Oh yeah, it is the answer. Great. So you'll see these notes. These are just talking about Firestore and the way that these things are set up. So obviously, like down the road, we're gonna have this process automated. So like you'll be able to create a list and it'll automatically do what I'm about to do. But for now, I'm just gonna set up a collection. So I think so you'll be able to effectively do the next couple of issues. Okay, so the collection itself. So I'm going to create a collection. And so the collection, this is basically referring to the shop, what is going to be your shopping list. And so the idea here is that we're actually using our user's ID as like the kind of collection bucket, so that like when users create a shopping list, it's like connected to their ID, right? That's kind of the concept of what's happening here. So I'm just gonna grab this.
Tim, do we want
ID.
them to pull and authenticate so that we can do it with their, in order to add them to the list?
So, I mean, we will have to do that at some point. I don't know if we
Okay.
need to do that right now. Yeah. Let's just do this for now, and then I'll make sure that we'll, like, as people authenticate over the next couple days, we can go in here and add everybody. But yeah, so I'm just going to use Christina's ID to make the first list. And so again, create a collection using the authenticated user's UID as the collection name. So this is correct, I believe. Oh, God. Okay, document ID. Add a document with a list name. Testing. Add a collection using the name items. We'll see whether this works, guys. I'm honestly not sure. Okay, start a collection. Yeah, so this is correct. So this is UID, list name is testing, start a collection. It's going to be called items. And again, this is kind of the shape of the data that we're told we're using, right? I'm not really making this up. And I don't think I want anything else. Do I need anything else? Yeah. No, I don't want anything else. Does that work? No. Auto ID. Does that work? Yeah. Okay. And this, I think, would make more sense if it was like full screen. But you can see here, like, collection ID, list name, items. And so down the road, this here is going to be the collection of the items in your shopping list. So that's kind of what's happening. And now what I'm going to do, because of the way the authentication is set up, is I'm going to go back here to the users. And I think I need it. So I need to add a field. And this is like kind of complicated. I'm not even sure if I should be doing this live, but we're going for it. The field is called shared list. It's going to be a string, and its value is going to be, let me copy this. Okay, it's gone. Yeah. Shared lists, it's a string. It's going to be /user ID /testing. And Christine or Belinda, if this looks weird, obviously holler at me. And then I'm actually just going to copy this whole thing and add it to myself as well. And this is what I'll be adding to like each of the users. And this will just be like our basic test collection until we have the functionality to create our own.
Yeah, this is completely new. In the past, we used to use tokens, and we've just added authentication. That allows us to share a list with each other, which is helpful for testing purposes when you're pairing, right? You need to be able to see that the items that you're adding are being displayed, that you can remove them in the future, you know, all that stuff. So,
okay, I think I did it. So again, like after this call or when you have free time this weekend, if everyone could go into the repo, pull in all this fresh changes that we have, and you know, npm start and go in and like do the sign in so you get the Google authentication to happen. That'll put you in here, and then maybe once you do that, maybe I'll make a thread and just be like, hey, like just +1 this once you're done with that, and then I can come in, or Christina or Belinda can come in and add this shared list value to your username, which I think is going to be necessary for you to complete your first tasks. But hopefully that makes sense. And also the I think maybe I saw Jose did it, but you can add yourself to the contributors.markdown file that's in the repo, which is kind of a good way to like do your first push, just like make sure that like you're set up on the repo correctly. And that would be a good thing to do kind of before you start pairing, just so everyone knows, hey, I'm on the repo, I know I can push, all that stuff is working correctly. Cool. Yes. Any questions? This is kind of a lot.
it is a lot. I do want to mention that the tickets or the issues this week are lighter because we're providing you with quite a few different modules. So you'll have a module on pairing, you'll have a module on Git, and you'll have one on, there's a couple of them, maybe you can pull it up. Yeah. So we don't expect you to remember everything that we did today. You know, maybe you're already familiar with the commands, maybe you're already familiar with PRs, and that's awesome. But if you're not, take a look at all of these modules that we have. There's both a recorded video where you can actually watch a mentor do the presentation, or you can actually just click through the slides and use them kind of as a cheat sheet if you're trying to see, oh, okay, this is what I need to include in my you know, PRs, or this is what I need to do to complete my issue, or something like that. So it's a little bit lighter so that you can focus a bit more on this. And then hopefully it'll help you for the coming week. But yes, questions, like Tim said. Sorry for the intersection there.
That's all good. Cool. Well, yeah, if there's no questions, and obviously like Slack, like be active in Slack so you can like ask questions, like we're all paying attention. So we should be able to respond pretty quickly. What's up?
So like first we should just go and pull down the repo that you guys just did,
Yep.
sign in so that you guys get our Google Auth come through and you can add us.
Yep.
Also we have to do the contributions thing.
Contributors, yeah.
Contributors, so that
Yes.
whereabouts do I find that on the repo?
So I'll show you. Yeah, so I'll show you, and hopefully this is readable. So do you see my terminal open here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm in. So this is the base level of the repo right here. So you'll see there's a contributors.markdown file. You see that?
Okay.
It's kind of small. But so you can basically, once you sorry, let me go back to main. You can open up this file and you'll see that a couple of people have already added things. So you'll see like my name, and Jose did it. And so you can basically just like, copy this and put your own name in with your GitHub, and then you'll save it, and then you basically you'll do a git add, git commit message, which is just like, oh, adding myself to contributors, and then push it up directly to main.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Do that, and then we would chat with whoever we're pair programming and try and arrange a day to start working on our first ticket.
Yep. Yeah. So Christina, I think, is going to be talking about the issues and exactly that, like right now.
Okay. Okay, cool.
So, but yeah. But it would be good to get the contributors up just so your repo set up correctly. And then because we're all kind of being like pushing weird stuff right now, I would definitely recommend like be careful, like everyone git pull like a lot. So like when you go into the repo, like even if you think you're up to date, just always git pull. And this is like
Okay.
general work life, like git pull is your friend, because it doesn't hurt to overdo it. Yeah. And so I'm going to pass it back to Christina, and she's going to talk about the issues and about the pairs this week. Correct, Christina? That is you, right?
Correct. That is me. You might have to remind me who I need to assign for each issue, since I don't have that open right now, but I'll go ahead and
Yeah, I'll open
we'll
it.
look at the issues because I think they're pre-assigned this time. All right, so we are
Yes.
working on issues 2 and 3. Again, we kind of mentioned that if you see a check mark, it means that that part of the issue is already completed for you. So this is a little bit lighter of a ticket. We want you to focus on the experience, on doing your first pairing session, and that whole process. So it's a bit lighter. I'm going to go ahead and read it. It says, the most important feature of our app is the ability to look at the shopping list and see what's on them. Right now it has nothing on there, but as soon as you guys authenticate, we will add some items. So the user knows what they need to buy. For this to work, we'll have to be able to choose our shopping list. The list, the active shopping list, and the home, where the user will be able to switch shopping lists. So eventually you'll have that functionality that you can switch shopping lists. Components are the best place in our code to do that. In fact, the feature is already partially implemented. So refer to the acceptance criteria in this issue and the existing code to understand the work that remains. Okay, it says the list components are rendered in the list page. Because the navigation links are currently broken, you will have to type that into the browser. So you'll type that /list to get there. And here's the acceptance criteria. What you're going to be focusing on is these two here, where it says the home JSX. In home JSX, the simple list component is used to render the name of each shopping list the user is subscribed to. And then in list JSX, the list item component is used to render the name of each item. So you guys are going to do a little bit more of a deep dive into the ticket once you're assigned to it. If I remember correctly, it's kind of like you're doing a map in one, something similar to that. Tim, do you know who is assigned to this one?
So issue 2 is Page and Arena.
All right. What is your GitHub page?
You found it. It's Silly Sundari.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. And the other one, let's see. Let me make sure I'm spelling your name right. Is this one correct? Yep. Looks like it, right? Awesome. All right. Do you have questions about this ticket? I mean, you'll do a little bit more of a dive, but at a glance. Yeah. All right. And then do we know who's going to be, Tim, who's going to be doing the mentor review this week? Just so we name it out.
Let me check what we got written down.
I'm going to go ahead and click on the next issue. So that one's assigned to you. The next issue is issue number 3, and it has to do with the navigation, right? We're talking about how the navigation is currently not set up all the way. And as Tim mentioned, this is very typical in projects in real life. You jump into pieces of code that are broken or existing, and then you have to fix it. So this says, as a user, I want to be able to navigate to all the pages in the application by clicking the links in the nav bar, which are these down here. And it says users need to be able to navigate between the pages of our application in order to access all of its features. There's a navigation bar in the layout JSX file, which is where we were working in today, and that component, but it's not quite a complete feature yet. So the links don't actually work. So in your acceptance criteria, we already have 2 things marked off. The nav element is added to the layout component, and the links to the home list and add item pages of the app are in the nav element. What we need to focus on is the links. All function is expected to be using the nav link component from React DOM router. So that's what you will be focusing on in this issue. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it to Jose, if I'm not mistaken. And then Rachel.
And I'll be doing the code review this week, it looks
Awesome.
like.
Okay. I did not assign Jose. I thought I had. Sorry. There we go. Awesome.
Great.
All right. Questions?
Cool.
Concerns? Comments? Open office hours. Do we send out a doodle for that, Tim?
Yeah, so that's kind of up in the air, I guess. I don't know if there's a time that works, because I feel like, you know, the mentor running office hours, like, I don't know, it's hard to be consistent week to week. So I don't know if we want to kind of be flexible. I'm doing office hours this week. So maybe I'll throw out some times in Slack that might work for me. And hopefully everyone will be able to come. They're optional, but I think it's a great opportunity to just like casual chat about stuff, whether it's the project or just like career, early dev stuff, right? Like we've all been through it. So yeah, I think it's a good opportunity to kind of just chat and get to know each other too. But I think probably Tuesday is going to work best for me. So maybe I'll throw out some times on Tuesday, and I'll open up the conversation in Slack, and we can figure it out.
So recap, add yourself as a contributor. Find a time that works for pairing with your partner. Try to get that done as early as possible in the week, so that you can get mentor review or peer review and then mentor review. And after that, once you're done, decide amongst yourselves who will be presenting what you work on, because that is something that you will do next week. So one of you will present kind of like your ticket and show what it is that you accomplished, and kind of just give us a little bit of a walkthrough. So
Is that the
just kind
demo?
of talk about that. That's the demo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. And there's a little module on that as well, but just informally for now, prepare yourself to present it.
Awesome.
Any
Cool. I think we're at an hour here. Yeah. Any last questions?
Negative. Thank you.
Oh,
Cool.
yes, thank you so much. It was really cool onboarding, and yeah, looking forward.
Sweet. All right. Well, yeah, let's be active on Slack. I'm going to create threads for each pair group. I'll do this right after this. So that'll be a place where you can kind of, in public talk about your issue, so that everyone kind of knows where everyone else is at. But yeah, see you all on Slack, and have a good week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye all. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
You.